All right, you guys, listen. Welcome to episode 5 of Reforged Radio. This is a podcast dedicated to everything Realm Royale Reforged. Tonight, I'm excited. I've got ShadowCaster and AeroCloud. Both of these guys and myself, I think we would all three agreeably call ourselves casual Realm Royale players, but competitive nonetheless. So I am going to bring them on here momentarily. Boys, hello. Hello. Let me put this over here and that over here and click on this. Boom, there it is. We've got it. All right, cool. First of all, guys, thank you so much for doing this. ShadowCaster, I've been watching you more or less from a distance for quite some time now. You usually actually stream, at least my recollection is that you stream like in the mornings sometimes.
Evenings for me.
Was it evenings for you? Were you streaming in the mornings for a while there? Because I was working from home and I remember seeing you streaming in the mornings.
Any day off. I mean,
maybe that's what it was.
From the time I get up, basically.
And then my guy AeroCloud here, I've been watching him, playing with him for well over 3 years. I really wanted to bring the two of you on for a very specific reason tonight. And as you can tell by some of the talking points I sent over to you guys earlier today, I know that AeroCloud and I, on his stream even kind of got into it a little bit before the release. There were some concerns. And so I'm like, dude, the guy that I got to bring on to really talk about this point and find out what he knows, what he thinks is AeroCloud, because this first talking point is PTS as opposed to what we got in the update. And so with no further ado, AeroCloud, tell me your initial thoughts on what you felt about the PTS, some of your concerns, and then what's going on with the update and how you feel about it now. And I know you won't hold back, so go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I loved the first PTS update. It felt really good. I loved the 30-second res. It was very fast paced. A lot of new players, a lot of returning players. It was a very good experience. The first update to the PTS where they reverted the res timer to 1:30 and the zones are moving faster, it felt really bad. So I'm really hoping they fix that in this version. I still reserve, there's a lot of players that do not like this new version. I can completely understand too, because they were so used to the old version where you could pick up any weapon, mix and match, But I understand that we need to go class-based for the future of Realm, because if they go to introduce new classes, it's going to be very hard to balance everything if they don't. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
So let me come back to you and let me go over to Shadow really quick. Shadow, so you got a chance to play the PTS as well. I know I talked to you a little bit about it. What were your thoughts about what was going on in PTS as opposed to what we got in that update on that Monday morning a few weeks ago?
So... well, what's funny is, as Aero was talking about the res, the first time that I came in on the PTS, somebody had told me that the 30-second res and the cheap res was a glitch and that it was going to be fixed. And so the fact that it came back to the normal, shards and time frame, that seemed normal. What was funny is they also thought the in the air was a glitch. And for me, that didn't seem like that was glitchy. That seemed like that was on purpose. And sure enough, that maintained itself. But I don't know. It definitely led for, like Aero said, a faster paced. It didn't hurt so much to die because you knew your teammates were going to be able to get you even if they didn't have very many shards.
Okay.
There was definitely a feel of there was much less to dying when the res was so cheap and so quick.
Yeah, there was it wasn't a penalty, and even for kind of the most part now, I mean, it still kind of isn't a penalty. I mean, I remember the early cryings were the guy can just res and run away now, and then players just drop out of the sky with their full loadouts. I'm not cool with it, and I was like, I honestly still don't know how I really feel about it all. I sometimes, where in the past have gone to click exit back to lobby, have gone, oh wait, they can easily res me this game. Because some games you're like, okay, this game's over. We're not getting out of this. And then I'm like, oh wait, if they can sneak in, I'm getting back in. So Total Pro is in the chat. And just one quick note to the chat, you guys, just so you guys know, I turn off all the alerts and follows and cheers and tips, and I appreciate all that stuff if it comes up by all means. But just trying to get the podcast in as fast as I can with these guys, let them get back to gaming and streaming. So some of that stuff's not going to pop up like it usually does, so I apologize if I missed something. But I did notice that Total put in there that the 30-second res was a glitch to his knowledge, okay? And when he says to his knowledge, I think it's well known that he was one of the people that got to play the game before the rest of us did. You know, he was kind of in a group of people that got to kind of, you know, work on the game, if you will, and talk about the game. So I think he's pretty accurate if he says that. I think that's a pretty accurate, you know, feedback from someone who knows for sure, rather than someone just saying, I guess that was probably, you know, what it was. So
no, I get it. I get it. You
So-
know, it was like 30. It was a glitch, but sometimes accidents lead to better choices. And things, right?
You're saying beautiful
And that's
disaster?
kind of
Is that
I
what I'm
was
hearing?
thinking. You know what I mean?
So, but wait, if I'm not mistaken though, Arrow, you tell me, like right now, the first res, if there's not a lot of kills, is about 30 seconds, right? Or is it, or am I
Still
just,
is.
it's 30 shards in
If
30
you have
seconds?
zero, if you have 0,
If you have zero.
30.
Okay. And then it goes like it used to go. There's an add-on for every single kill that you get up to a certain cap, right? Is it a cap at 45 seconds or 55 seconds?
No, I would had a 90-second res. Yep.
So you can still have enough kills to get a 90-second res. Okay, so that's one of the things that concerns you in PTS, that moving over to the update is something that you're still concerned about. Do you feel as strongly as you did that night that you and I went back and forth about, you know, the potential damage that some of these changes that happened from the first patch of PTS to the update? Are you feeling the same? Have you changed your mind on any of those? Have you altered the way that you feel about some of those opinions? And, you know, I don't want to necessarily go through that whole, you know, discussion again, but, you know, I wasn't questioning you because I didn't necessarily agree with you. I was just trying to understand more like, okay, everything seems to be going fine here, AeroCloud. You sound like you're really down about this, man. And you kind of, not down, but you were definitely had some opinions, some strong opinions about, you know, how some of these things might affect the casual player. And listen, again, not by accident, there's 3 of us sitting here tonight doing this that are all very much, I think we would, you know, call ourselves casual streamers and gamers, right? Is that a fair assessment of the 3 of us?
Yes.
Yeah,
For me,
I mean,
definitely casual.
right. We're, you know, yeah, for sure. So do you feel any different? Is there anything that you felt better about after the update that you weren't feeling good about during the PTS?
My worry, because it wasn't just me, like I was having some of my friends talk to me and saying they didn't enjoy this version as much as the old version, and they've quit the game. They haven't even played.
Interesting.
I'm trying to get them back though, but they absolutely love the 30 seconds because, and you got to think about the normal player, right? Like, let's say you're playing with your team and you want to get back into the game, right?
Right.
That's what it should be about, right? I mean, that's why we got a chicken that comes up. This game is supposed to be meant for casuals, not for the hardcore, right? Because if you want to play hardcore, everybody goes to Apex. Everybody goes to those games, right? The casuals kind of kept this game alive. And so I'm afraid if we go too much on the competitive scene, we're going to eliminate all the casuals.
All right, so
Definitely.
let's put that in a box for 1 second, AeroCloud. Let's just, because we could go on an absolute hour or 2 tangent about what you just said, and I'll just say briefly for me, I don't see it the same way that he does, and that's okay. It's okay for us to not agree on how we feel the game's going, but I also have the experience, and I've shared this a couple times, you know, publicly. I feel like some of the mobility and some of the other things that were added to the game made me so much better of a player than what I was in the old realm, that I could never play the old realm and feel like I was ever going to get any better at it. And as where this game, since I've begun playing it since the update, I literally feel like I've improved as a player and I'm having more fun because of it. Not because I'm winning more, but because I'm actually having better fights. And so part of me, maybe that competitive piece of me, likes that so much that I'm willing to kind of ignore what he just said about this, about the res and getting back into the game and having it be fun. So maybe part of me is turned like, hey, I'm a little more competitive than I was, as more so than casual. Maybe something's changed in me. I don't know, but I just played this game for a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of cool clips, a lot of funny clips. And now I'm like kind of I can get a little sweaty now. And I didn't feel I could even get that way before because I didn't have some of these mobilities that were added to the game. So before we move on, ShadowCaster, Was there anything that you didn't like, concerned about, loved that changed during the current update? Kind of like what I just asked Arrow. Anything that changed that you're kind of sad or happy about?
Well, there's just I am the only thing that I am not too pleased with is the lock of the movement ability. I would like to be able to switch out my secondary movement for the primary and still have room for a move or a offensive and a heal.
Interesting. You're saying like, so for example, like if you're playing assassin, you'd like to just have your conk and then maybe two other, like a heal and an offensive, instead of having a blink. No, okay.
No, just switching the blink for a different movement. So, so like with the hunter, with the grapple hook, I don't personally enjoy the grapple hook as much as everybody else does. I miss being able to have my dodge roll, flare, and blast arrow.
Okay. So let's talk about this. So first of all, is there one of the classes that you like more than the others that you play more often?
Always warrior has been my main.
So give me an example of how you'd like to switch up warrior that you can't do currently. Give me an example of what that loadout would look like for you then.
I can't have charge if I don't want leap.
So you're saying you'd like to be able to choose either leap or charge, not have to have both of them in order to have the one. Is that what you're saying?
Right, exactly. In order to use charge, I have to keep leap. Period.
Interesting. So you would like to be able to swap out. You're still okay with it being in class. You just want there to be a different mobility option than the one that you're locked in with. Is that what you're saying?
But I would like to be able to hit on a dodge roll and hit my movement ability button and have it swap out for the grapple hook.
Interesting. You mean as a warrior?
No, as a hunter.
As a hunter. I got what you're saying. Okay.
Or swap out my leap for a charge.
Are you saying it's a slot issue or truly a movement issue?
Slot maintenance.
So you don't like the fact that it's locked into that third slot and you can't put it in the first or second slot. That's part of what you're telling me, or is that the whole thing you're telling me?
Neither. I just can't. I don't like not being able to replace it with a different movement.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I was clear on that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. AeroCloud, back to you real quick. Let's unwrap that thing and talk about it again for just a second, because it's important. No, listen, I told you earlier today it's important to have you on. You have an opinion that I know that you said you don't think is popular, and it's not fun for you to talk about sometimes in a bigger arena because, people get on you about it. And I understand that, but I think it's a valuable opinion. What are some of the things that they could do to meet you halfway and make some of those few people come back and play? Just the res itself, would that get them back?
I mean, some of them really loved running, other movements, kind of like ShadowCaster, but not within the same class, and I get how hard that's going to be. Another thing, they don't like the grapple hook. They feel like it's too strong. Like it moves so fast, it gets you places. Like it's so strong in the game.
It's like a sore. It's like a worse than sore nightmare.
I mean, it's way worse than sore. Like you can grab the ground, you can grab an opponent, you can grab your friendly, you can grab anything. It is just so strong, and you fly so fast.
It's funny that you're saying that, because imagine my disappointment and excitement all at the same time when I saw the grapple hook initially, and then I saw that we couldn't use leap with it. I was like, what? Come on. But that would have been even more ridiculous than even the dodge roll is, or that light foot potion. So let me ask you this though, Arrow. What if they gave an adjustment to the bow and left the grapple hook as is? Would that change your feeling of the class itself, or does the grapple hook itself need to have some more limitations put to it?
I mean, it would be nice if the grapple hook maybe had its distance reduced some.
Okay.
And the travel speed of the grapple was slowed down slightly.
Interesting.
And then I do think that the longbow needs to be an exponential versus a linear damage. And I think that would probably put it more on the balance standpoint. I think.
Okay, I barely graduated high school, took a little bit of community college. Can you break that down for those of us that are dumb, what you just said?
So linear means if you pull it back 50%, you do 50% of your max damage. Exponential means that if you pull it back 50%, you might only do 25% of your damage. So it rewards you for pulling it back all the way, kind of like the old recurve.
Is that the conversation that was happening today in another streamer's channel? Were you part of that conversation? It sounds like a conversation I heard earlier today about that same thing. They were talking about that earlier today.
Up a lot. Yeah, it's been
Okay,
brought up a lot.
so you're saying that you're more in favor of the exponential.
Yes.
So that if halfway doesn't necessarily guarantee you half the damage, you've got to pull it all the way back and hope to hit a heady in order to get the full brunt of that thing.
Well, there's a lot in the game right now. There's a lot of half pulls, you know, and it does so much damage when you half pull because you can literally just spam it almost at 1 second. It is really, really strong. It isn't, you know, like it feels okay when you pull back all the way, the damage wise, but yeah, the half pulls are way too strong.
Yeah, and I guess for me, you know, like hearing you say that now makes me realize that I don't ever just pull it back really quick like a lot of people do. I'm either pulling it halfway back or all the way back or, you know, 90% back. I'm always trying to hit like the perfect shot, which is why I miss a lot of shots with it. So if they did some of that exponential tuning to it and left the grapple hook the way it is, made a 30-second res, do you think that that could earn some people back?
I mean, I'm not a total fan of the 30 seconds. I think that's a little too low. I still think the shard should grow, but I'm okay with 45 seconds. I think that's about the fair because when they did the adjustments with the circles and the amount of time, the zones move so fast now. When 1:30, like you can be at the forge before the 1:30 and still, you know what I mean? Like the whole zone can move a whole nother zone before you even get there. And that just feels bad.
We played that. We were playing that one night when we died in the storm and we thought we'd have ample time. It was like so tilting. I remember that. That's kind of when we actually started having that conversation about it too. ShadowCaster, what about you? Is there anything based on like what we're already talking about, or anything you different that you might want to talk about that you feel like is just broken, or they really need to make an alteration to it? No, listen,
Potion
this is
balances.
This is the format, man. Trust me.
No. Potion balances. There's too many potions in the game.
Interesting.
If you take a look at the number of potions that were just left on the ground in the old realm,
right,
based on the new realm, how often were you constantly in an end circle going, "Ooh, that's an armor potion still sitting there. I'm gonna go grab that."
Right.
You know?
Never. Rarely.
You would always have to do that in old realm. Like if you saw an armor potion, but how often was an armor potion in end circle? Never, because everybody was grabbing them.
Right, that's a good point.
And now you probably have a good 100 to 200 potions left.
Do you feel like if they increase the amount of potions you could carry, that would be better for that concept? At least they wouldn't be laying around?
I don't use them that much.
Interesting.
I don't think so.
Interesting.
I don't ever seem, if I have potions and I'm using them, I still always have potions. Like I've never under 10 potions, even if I'm using them. Like there's only like certain games where I'm potion shy, but it's like one game that I'm potion shy, and that's it.
Interesting.
I wasn't opening chests, or I kept running into battles, and I was constantly using them. But
interesting.
Ever since the PTS, I'm like, oh man, there's too many armor pots. Oh, and somebody was like, even after we balanced them, and I'm like, you balanced them?
AeroCloud, do you have an opinion on this?
Yeah, I don't agree. I think it varies game by game. If you get a soft lobby, you run into a lot of people and they drop a lot of potions. But if you get into a pretty sweaty game and every battle is a real battle, you are potion starved more than anything. It varies, you know. I can see where he's at when the game's soft, but from the competitive standpoint or sweaty or lobby, I have to disagree. I don't think there's enough potions. I'm running through houses, opening up
It's
chests,
interesting.
trying to get one potion.
Imagine that. Imagine that. I got two guys on the show that don't agree on something. This is amazing. Okay, so that's interesting. So here's the thing that's interesting. When I watch Shadow's stream, Shadow is absolutely freewheeling all the time. I think you'll queue occasionally, right? You'll run queues, if you will, or say, hey, feel free to queue up with me. And I don't know, but for whatever reason, I think they pick on AeroCloud sometimes. I think they see he's like streaming, he's running queues, and like Days and Arrows show up lately the last couple of days. The last couple of days they've been hopping in. I keep hearing him say that was Perplexity that killed me. So maybe that's why he feels differently than you do, is because his lobbies seem to be getting sweatier and sweatier when he's playing.
The reels I run into, I don't know their names.
Interesting.
I don't see anybody more than one person every other Zeppelin, or a packed Zeppelin of people, everybody I recognize. I die early, I go to the next game, and there's tons of people moving, but I don't recognize anybody.
That's interesting. Don't you think, AeroCloud? That's interesting, right?
Yeah, it is like that. If you're not running Q snipes, you're probably going to have a fairly easier lobby, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like the easier lobbies.
I'm dying to these kids anyway, but that's just me. I mean, my sweat level, I'm at a sweat level 2, Smarmy's at a sweat level 6 to 8,
right?
And then Arrow's at a sweat level 7 to 10,
right?
It's just like, no, this 2 sweat doesn't just, I just
listen
all the time.
The more cocktails that AeroClouds has, is the more sweaty he becomes. By the way, I don't know if he's aware of this, but if I see that it says Drunk Chimkins in his stream title, I know that there's sweating going on. If it says Sober Chimkins, it's a pretty mellow game, actually. He's like, oh, well, we died. That was a good game. And he goes back to the lobby. Sorry, AeroCloud. I didn't mean to call you out, dude. But
dude, it's all good, man. It's all good.
No, I'm teasing somewhat, though. Guys, let's move on to this second topic then. There's so much we could unpack about PTS to update, and I'm sure we'll still hit some of it here, but one of the things that seems to be popping up now, more than I've even ever noticed it in playing this game for the last 3+ years, is I'm seeing people that are cheating. What, if anything, are you guys finding? Are you guys seeing something happen regularly? And when I say cheating, I mean straight up like speed hacking and like aimbotting, walling. Are you guys seeing this happen? Is this just me, or is it anybody else?
I had a hacker in a game a couple of days ago, and we ended up reporting him.
Interesting. What was he doing?
Speed hacking.
Yeah, I know that Arrow. I remember that one game in PTS. We had those two guys, those two clowns. They were like super speed hacking. Like we could barely get them. Interesting. Yeah. Are you seeing anything else?
I haven't seen very many cheaters lately. I know there's some people that I can't really say, you know what I mean, for sake of but there's definitely some people who are supposedly really good players that that they're using some kind of tools to help them along.
Interesting.
I mean?
Interesting.
And I can't name names because of the sake of
No, of course not. I mean, listen.
Feedback,
that's the terrible thing about cheating when it does or it doesn't happen, is that it's as much as you want to report it, it's kind of hard to really. I mean, unless it's speed hacking or something really obvious that you can just have a whole stream watch your stream and go, yeah, this is hacking. It's hard to tell if a guy's walling. It's hard to tell. I mean, AeroCloud, and I consider this cheating as well. I mean, if you've got a config set up so that you can see through the trees, that's cheating to me. And I'm sure there's still some young men doing that in our games, even some that might be considered really, really good players. The funny thing about this is, just to take a little piece of this and talk about the competitive scene for just 1 second, is one of the things that I found out really quickly when I started trying to arrange games with people that were better, much better than me, like the real deal players, is there's really an acid test within those queues, within those scrims that they're doing, within the tournaments, where you really see the players that are really the players, and you really wonder how some of the other players that you thought were really awesome don't do as well. Now, maybe some people just don't do well in tournaments. I mean, I know some professional Fortnite players that just every time they show up to the Fortnite tournament don't do well, but you watch them on stream, they can't lose a game. It's like You know,
Right.
and I'm not saying it makes you wonder or that it's suspicious or anything. I'm just saying it's interesting to see how people play when there's a room, or if you will, lobby full of really, really talented players. And I haven't seen anything watching those games for sure that's made me like, you know, turn my head and go, well, that was weird. Not at all. But I definitely have seen some stuff in pubs where I've just been like, man, that guy doesn't miss ever, and knew right where I was. And now in AeroCloud question. So I want to bring this piece in because, again, this is something you touched on. And Shadow, I'd love to hear your opinion. Do you feel like Flare was nerfed enough to be okay and stay in the game? And do you like the fact that you now have a little shiny thing on top of your noggin when you've been flared?
I'm still on the side of I don't think vision should be in any game at all. I have a feeling, because one thing it does is it allows the people who are actually wall hacking to hide it better.
Right.
You know, and it's going to be very hard to point those people out if they're constantly running flares.
This is true.
Sensor drones.
Or sensor drones, right? And so, to me, I think it's very bad for games. You know, especially as a new player, you come in and you don't quite understand the mechanics of the game, and you feel like everybody's wall hacking you.
Right.
You know what I mean? How long are you going to be hanging around the game? You're probably uninstalling it real fast.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, and for those that don't know, and if for those that probably will, more of you will listen to this than are watching it now for sure. You know, the conversation that was had between myself and AeroCloud, and then AeroCloud also had this conversation, I believe, in the Realm Discord about this, is that, you know, how do we really ever know for sure if someone's not walling if they have a flare or a sensor drone in the game, period? Like, we really, no matter how much we want to trust and believe people are playing straight up, the reality is it just is a tool that gives them the opportunity to kind of mask the fact that they might be walling, that they might be hacking. So I don't know, man. Like you said, I haven't seen a lot of what I would consider to be a problem. The speed hacking was a little weird for a while there, that I was like, what the hell's going on, man? Like, it's funny because, you know, I had heard about this for a long time and never actually been in a game and never actually seen it until I was playing with you that night. And then I was like, oh my God, dude, this is irritating as fuck.
Every real player that ever sees a person hacking like that, I hear them every time. They just laugh. As soon as they see the person move at like 7 times the normal speed, every real person just laughs because it looks so funny.
It does. It does.
It's all around the map, and we're just dying trying to shoot at this guy. Like, it's actually entertaining, but it's just irritating, especially if you snag a sword warrior or somebody like that.
Right. I think one of the things that I'm most excited about, and I believe that Thor, I think I can say that Thor confirmed this, you know, in the Discord, is that at least for some of us that stream and have had issues with certain people, I'm excited to see what comes out and when it comes out for a streamer mode, where when we're in the Zeppelin, obviously if someone's watching a stream and they know what, you know, class you're playing and what skin you're wearing, can still figure out who you are, but they won't get a sense of what's going on in that game, because when someone dies, they won't see that you've killed them and think, okay, maybe they're at Lumber, maybe they're at Crossing, they're killing a lot of people. You know, it'll be a little easier to fly under the radar at least and have some sort of fairness, even though I'm sure some people will still get around it. You guys think that streamer mode will suffice for us streamers? Do you think it'll, you know, by more than 50% improve our experience as streamers that have problems with certain people who shall remain nameless?
You want me to take that?
Either one of you guys.
Sure. I think streamer mode is very important, but we could take it beyond streamer mode and just make it everybody has anonymous names. You know what I mean? Everybody in the lobby. You're just anonymous 1, 2, 3. You got random 4-digit numbers that are created, and only on your side can you see your name killing somebody. You know
Interesting.
what I mean?
No, yeah, same as Fortnite basically.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, you can your name is highlighted. It still says, like, it'll still say, I can't remember what they call it now, but it's like it'll say something like player 1576, and it'll be highlighted when it's you killing player 6798.
Right.
You think anonymous is dumb, Tickle Slip? I'd love to hear more about that.
So
I'm
I'll
with
explain
Tickle.
that. I'll explain why. Because
Okay.
there are also people who are queue dodgers. As soon as
Interesting.
they see you in a boat, they leave the game. And then all of a sudden it affects your experience because now the game's empty. You know what I mean? And it's terrible when you get into games like that.
Right. So you're so Shadow, let's hear from you. You're saying you don't care. You don't think it's that important.
I don't like anonymous mode.
Interesting.
It makes the game so impersonal.
Interesting.
I mean, the whole point of Realm is that it's more community based than Fortnite, because there were so few of us that we hang out. And I mean, if we go into this anonymous mode, and I mean, it's gonna kill that. And I don't know. I don't feel that that's a good move.
So Shadow, what you're telling me is you kind of like it when you can see who's in the Zeppelin with you. That makes you play a certain way. You get a certain feeling about it. You're like, oh God, this guy's in our lobby. We're gonna have to really work hard to win. Or hey, these guys are in our lobby. We're gonna shit all over them. You're saying that you're more of that opinion.
Well, I'm to be completely fair. There's so many Zeppelins that I'm not even at keys, because that's the other reason I love this game, is because you can queue up, leave your keys, get a chore in the house done, and by the time you make it back to your keys,
Hey.
you're just jumping out of the Zeppelin.
There's a lot of our friends that like to take those between game dabs, and they've got them timed out about 1 minute and 45 seconds for those queues. So you're not wrong, brother.
And I am disliking that AFK is a death sentence now. I understand it. I totally get it. But I'm actually kind of upset that AFKers is a death sentence now.
What do you mean by that?
Every AFKers is in the zone. Well, okay, not every AFKers is in the zone, but 90% of AFKs are either in the zone or in the water now.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Where if you
Oh,
go
that's
AFK, you
right,
jump
because
out
it
of
goes
Zeppelin
across the whole
taking storm
frickin' map
damage.
now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even really pay much attention to that.
Yeah, I used to kind of get right at the edge. I hear myself jump out, and I'm like, oh, I better get there pretty quick, and I'll land, and I'll get to the first building, like right as I first get back to keys. You can't do that anymore. As soon as you're at like 5 seconds left in the Zeppelin, you'd better jump, or you're going to start taking storm damage.
No, I've had that happen many times. So yeah, a few people are saying in the chat, that they like the randomness, and my mod says if you're only playing anonymous, you might as well be playing with bots. Well, let's not get into that. Still plenty of bots in our game, but yeah. All right, guys. Well, listen, man, we're moving through this good. Let's kind of hit on this last topic, and then if you guys want to talk about anything else, or ask me any questions, obviously I'd be more than happy to answer them. But let's talk about sustainability. Do you guys? This is the question to both of you guys, and whichever one of you wants to go first is totally fine. When I said sustainability, what I mean, what the question really is did they do enough to have the opportunity for this to be sustainable with another patch and then another patch, which has been, basically talked about happening in 6 weeks from the date. So we're about 4 weeks away from what would be a second patch. And there's been a lot of speculation on what that patch will be. It might just be bug fixes and small updates, nothing major. And then we would be waiting 6 more weeks for hopefully content, is what I think, most of us are probably hungry for. Did they put out a product that's sustainable at this point? What do you guys think?
Go ahead, ShadowCaster.
Okay. I mean, the quick blunt answer to it is no.
Okay.
Only because it is enough like the old Realm that it's good for us as far as the old players go.
Right.
They did not make enough changes that the old players are nerfed enough that the new players didn't just get stomped on.
Interesting.
And they didn't I feel like there's some console tweaks that they didn't actually allow to happen because they didn't put enough effort into their own players on the console at high res, since they didn't bring it out to the console for the PTS, to
Right.
make sure that that was a stable release. And I mean, Xbox crashed for the first day or 2 days. Switches still crash all the time.
Okay.
They're not, and that's where our player base is in the consoles. It's not on the PCs. It's all the PC players that have been here for years.
Right.
It's these console players that we have to get here. And if we're going to bring the console players in, we'd better have a product that doesn't crash. Or
Right.
they're going to, oh, that I crashed every time I played a good game. No, I'm not going to play that ever again.
Right. All right. I have a response to that, but I'm going to hold on and let AeroCloud answer first.
Okay, so I also don't agree that they did enough. To me, I think one of the biggest things they could do to increase sustainability is to add classes. They need to make the game different, and just having the 4 classes was not enough. If every 6 weeks they were to launch a new class, it would change the metas. It would change the game. It would change this. Like, it would feel brand new all the time. Also, they need to implement things like cross branding with anime or something else. They need to put in music with dances. They need to do things that console players and people like to do to have fun, right? Everything was focused so much on the competitive scene, and the skill gap increased so much that when these players come in and try the game, it's literally like they stand 0 chance. And that's bad. That's so bad. And I think a ranked system is going to be very, very important. It would be almost nice if they could figure out who the new players were and kind of put them in their own lobbies against each other, instead of, putting them against us all the time. You know what I mean? Because it would be unfair for us to stop playing because we love the game and we've been here the whole time. But how do we do that? You know what I mean? Like, the sustainability is not there. There's no way to make money. The players are definitely dropping really fast. I don't know. What do you think?
So let me try to, because I kind of sensed that I already kind of knew, I know you well enough and watch you streaming well enough and know you well enough to know how you felt. So that's why I said I'm going to hold off and let both of you guys talk, and then I'll say what I want to say. I think that part of where I'm at, and here's my challenge, okay? Taking away the opportunity that was given to me to be in the partner program, because I don't want that to play any part in my answer, really. I just want to answer, like, as me, regardless of what consequences might come. So I'll say this to you, because I mean, I'm not obligated to say anything nice or mean. I mean, I obviously have to, keep up, good behavior. But the reality is that I don't think I really understood how many people left the game that came back to the game in the last 2 weeks, literally, and how good those people still are after just a couple of weeks, and going and watching those guys play scrims and going, holy shit, like, we thought it was a different game ourselves, the casuals. It's not even the same, even close to the same, like, realm of a game, sorry for the pun. But watching these guys play scrims is like, now listen, that's no different than I felt watching Fortnite pros play, or watching CDL League guys play, or watching Apex competitive play. It's no different. I feel the same way, but it's definitely a different genre within this game that, like you said, I absolutely agree with you, has to somehow get sorted out. But the problem is, and like you guys are pointing out, is that it has to be sustainable long enough to get a base of players to expand on that. And so I don't know, and I'm certainly not here to ask you guys what you think about that, because you guys have already given good opinions on what you think. But yeah, I personally just can't wait for them to start letting me spend money on the game, and I will. Like, if they bring out chicken skins and they bring out, class skins, take my money. And so I was a little bit surprised that we didn't get more of that. You know what I mean? Like, I was kind of, just from a guy who, works in business, banking for a living and deals with business owners every single day of my life. Like it's kind of the first thing you usually do is try to make some money. Like, I don't know. I certainly don't know what the game plan is, and I don't want to pretend like I do. But yeah, man, I think that let me finish this, Shadow, real quick. The point I was trying to make is that I don't know. I don't know why I don't feel exactly the same as both of you guys do on some of these issues. I feel like that hope that I've been, trying to peddle for 8 months on this game, I feel like that hope is just as much as it was then as it is now. And I'm excited by what they put out. I'm not disappointed per se, but I'm shocked that we didn't get a little bit more as far as like the skins and the cosmetics go, because here I am 2 weeks later and I'm like, I feel like we need something else, man, right now. Like we need something else to like drop. I don't know what it is. We need a chicken skin. I don't know. We need something because like, okay, I've figured out a couple classes, and I think what you said, AeroCloud's huge. I think if they can find a way to find us a new, shaman. I mean, Thor talked about a shaman well before he was even working for this company, that he would love to see a shaman. I would love to see a shaman. I would love to see, I don't know about the engineer, but maybe a form of that engineer,
And why not the engineer? We're pulling turrets out of chests. What the heck? Why are we so upset at this engineer?
Well, from what I've been told, is the engineer itself, the mechanic being in the game, was so messed up and broken that when they threw it into the game, it just crashed the game. It doesn't work basically as far as the coding stuff goes. That's just what I've heard and been told by people that know way more than me. It's not about not wanting to, because even
I thought they were just broken.
No, even Thor said on his stream, it does feel weird to have old Realm, an old, to have a reforged Realm without an engineer. He said that on like a podcast, so that kind of, if you read, the tea leaves and how Thor says things sometimes, I've learned that when something comes out of his mouth, there's a possibility, right? Not that it's in stone. I mean, I've gotten yelled at in his stream more than once for writing confirmed, confirmed. Thor said this, I've gotten like, Smarmy, why are you the way you are? I've gotten that meme a few times from him. So I try to, not say that too much and get in trouble, but, yeah, man, listen, tonight was going to be a challenge to have both of you guys on, because I knew that you guys would talk about the real issues that us as casual players are really feeling and thinking about. And so I really appreciate you being raw and real like you always are, AeroCloud. And as much as I, want to, carry the flag and be Mr. Rah-Rah, because I really do still feel like we've got a long way to go in this thing. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I'm certainly hoping that it becomes what we all hope it can become. And the same thing goes for you, Shadow. Like, I knew that you'd come in here and you'd be like straight up blunt, as you've said before. I'm pretty blunt, man. I'll just tell you straight up how it's going to be, man. And so I appreciate both of you guys doing that. Is there anything kind of in closing that you guys want to maybe talk about in case somebody sees this thing and cares about it? Anything you guys want to talk about before we shut her down?
Sure. Don't misunderstand me. I still like the update and I still think it's good. You just asked the question if the sustainability was there, and I don't think it is. I think they're lacking on that, right?
I'm glad you answered it that way, and I know what you mean. I know that you love this game, man, like I do, and it hurts you to say that I don't think it's sustainable right now. But I'm glad that you're being honest about that. I don't want you to sugarcoat how you feel.
Right. You don't get progress if everybody just tells you you're doing good. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yes, it's great. Yes, it's great.
The Unreal Engine would be very nice to go beyond 3. I know that's a long-term project, but how do they make money? Right? This is my question. If they make money, the sustainability of the game will stay.
Goes up.
But right now, there is nothing. There is no fun skins, no fun anything. There's nothing to spend money on. That really, really needs to be there. And the more classes you put in, the more skins you have to sell. Why don't they do collaborations with streamers and maybe we split the cost with having a skin made for us, right? Like I could have a wizard skin in there and I pay them some money to give me a bunch of codes to give out, and I do giveaways on my stream, right? Why don't we do that? You have a tank, dude. You know what I'm talking about? Like, why don't they do that kind of thing?
Dude, here's real quick funny story. When I knew the game was coming back, I hired this artist to make me a chicken because I wanted to have a chicken intro. And then all this stuff happened. The partner thing happened, and I was like, okay, this is weird. I think they're gonna think I just made a chicken I'm begging to have my chicken in the game. But at the same time, man, you're right. Like, why not have? I don't even care if they put a SMARMYTANK chicken in. Just put a tank chicken in. You can redo it, do it up however you want to. Like, they definitely need some more chicken skins. Like, especially since there's so much controversy. We don't have time for it, but there's so much controversy over the chickens right now, bro. I mean, it's incredible, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Aw, I like my sand butt chicken. The first time I saw the sand butt happen, I'm like, what the hell happened to my chicken? What? They stretched him?
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. Did anyone notice the crowns per quest went down from 20 to 10 on update?
Oh, heck yeah.
So listen, that's a good indication for me, though. Obviously, if they don't want you to have a bunch of crowns, it means they might have a bunch of stuff coming for us, right? That's what that could mean? I mean, is it fair to say that?
Give me the old battle passes for $5 a season or something, you know? Let me earn some old stuff back, because I wasn't here for season 1, 2, or 3.
Listen, the three of us are going to keep playing this game regardless after we get off this thing. You know, we're going to keep playing the game regardless until something really bothers us. But I'll tell you what, if they start putting some skins in the game and they start adding people to the game, like, I think we're going to see some growth. And then the question will really be, you know, we'll have to come back and talk maybe 5-6 months from now and go, okay, guys, what do you think now? And hopefully we're huge and, you know, we can laugh about the things we were right and wrong on. But I don't know, man, you know, like,
exactly.
Like I've always played this game from the perspective of an old guy with a family, working a day job, just having fun. It's something that makes me very happy to do. And, you know, and since I've kind of, you know, gotten a little more serious, I guess, lately about things, and I've talked to a lot more people, and like, especially like AeroCloud, people like you and others. And now I kind of like, oh, I didn't even notice that. Okay. Yeah, that does kind of suck. Okay. Or no, I don't agree with you, man. I love that grapple hook. Like, screw you, ShadowCaster. Okay. That grapple hook's like, they take that grapple hook down to 30 meters. I'm screwed, bro. I'm back to being shitty again. I need that thing.
I don't mind the grapple hook. I just would like to be able to swap it out for a dodge roll.
No, I know you. Well, maybe maybe AeroCloud I'm talking through then. I need that damn grapple hook to get away from your warrior, AeroCloud. Jesus.
I'm just throwing out examples here,
No, I know you are. I'm teasing.
It could be that they just slow you down on the grapple and we're good, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely, I mean, listen, one thing, and we'll just throw this in at the very end here, you know, the grapple hook doesn't always grapple, and you are in cooldown, and you're just sitting there getting absolutely fucking destroyed.
Many glitches.
Sorry, high res.
I've heard my buddy yell at the grapple hook like daily.
Yeah, dude, listen, I have several clips of me in the last 2 weeks going, oh, what? Come on. And a lot of bad words coming out of my mouth.
Yep.
Well, listen, guys, as I said when we started, I really do admire both of you guys. I've been watching you obviously for a little while now, Shadow, but I've been watching AeroCloud for years now. I really appreciate you guys. I admire you guys for how you guys run your streams, and your guys' opinions matter. You know, I do this thing, you know, once a week to try and get some people on and get some real perspective from like real players. You know, because it would still, I mean, certainly would be cool to get some of the, you know, the bigger name guys on, and I'm sure someday maybe we will. But I mean, we're the lifeblood of this game, you know, and I hope that no one takes offense to me saying that. But we're the guys that are, you know, have been playing it for the last, you know, year while no one else was, you know, and so there is a little bit of, you know, I don't want to call it ego, but I think there's a little bit of, you know, pride that goes into saying, hey, you know, you guys all came back, and it's like, wait a minute, you kind of ruined our party we had here going on. Like, it was fine. Like, it sucked, but it was like fine. And now you did all these cool things, and it's kind of okay, but we're kind of not totally happy. And now, wait, everyone's way better than they used to be on all the new shit. Oh my God. You know, that's kind of where I've been, you know, and I'm not mad about it. I mean, listen, I don't know how much longer I'm going to get to game for, man. I'm pretty old, but I certainly love this game, dude. I love this community. I appreciate you guys so much for coming on to the podcast and doing it. And I'll let you guys get back to your streams, and I'm sure we'll see you guys in some trio lobbies tonight if you're playing.
Indeed.
Wonderful.
Sure. Thank you for having us.
No problem. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you both. Have a great night.
You as well.
Have a good night too.